Good morning. Welcome to the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. It is Thursday, the 5th of February, and I hope your day's off to a great start. You know, we started off early this morning with a winter weather advisory that expired at 4 a.m. We were here to keep an eye on things, and really, the snow that approached our area was not making it down to the ground. It was evaporating and sublimating as it was falling. So had a little bit of virga out there at times, a few flurries down to the south. We actually had a little bit of light mix late yesterday going into the evening. But as far as any measurable, detectable snow on the ground, we didn't get any overnight, and we are now seeing the skies clearing here in Hampton Roads. But here's the deal. On the Weather Desk, we don't just focus on our local weather here in Southeast Virginia and Northeast North Carolina. We take a look at stories from all across the country and sometimes around the world. Let's get into our topics for today. We are going to focus on an area just off to the north of Hampton Roads at the north end of the Chesapeake Bay. That is Tangier Island, and activity on ice for now. We're going to talk about ice flows in the northern part of the Chesapeake Bay that have the island pretty much blocked from boats accessing it. There's a way you can come on with, an airstrip there, but it's very difficult to get off and on the island. A lot of the normal ways that people go are blocked with ice. We'll show you what's happening up there with that. We're also going to go a little farther to the north up to Maryland and check in on some coastal erosion. The past few storms have been producing up there in Maryland, so we'll have more on that. Some of the other topics really interesting. We're keeping an eye on zoo animals and how those animals up at the Richmond Zoo are staying safe during the cold, how they're helping them get through it, and what animals up there don't mind at all. I mean, some of the animals are very temperature sensitive. Others are like, hey, no big deal. I'm an outdoor animal and I can handle these types of climates. So we'll show you that. This story is really interesting too. We're going to show you where there was a violent encounter over a parking area that was cleared and folks trying to save a space that they had worked hard to clear out, somebody else cutting into it. We'll talk about what happened and how this is an issue over one part of the country anyway. So that'll be coming up. And then we're going to talk about why good attic insulation is so important. It goes beyond just saving money with good insulation. You know, it's always a good idea to have a well-insulated home, but the attic in particular can lead to other issues if it is not properly insulated. So we'll talk about that and then get ready for a chilly, windy weekend. I've got the latest. We're talking stronger winds on Saturday and bitter cold wind chills. We'll also look ahead to when temperatures will start to warm up a bit, and we'll have more on the updated drought monitor. We'll talk about what's happening here in Hampton Roads with that. And we are a bit drier, so we'll explain. All right, let's start off, though, by taking a look at what's happening out there across the region. A little bit of cloud cover hanging in down to the south. You see that across Northeast North Carolina. We are getting more clearing already to the north and out to the west. Earlier last night, we had some precip. There was actually, for a little while last evening, some mix, a little bit of sleet with some rain showers right in there. That was last evening. There were some snow flurries at the ocean front. But overnight, as the snow approached the area, you could see some of the snow out to the west and encountered drier air and really fell apart. The snow showers that you saw on the radar passing by early this morning were not making it down to the ground. And even some of these areas down south, while they were bracing for potential areas of mix and maybe some snow down that way as well, never really got much down there. So at this point, the last area to see showers, the southern part of the Outer Banks, they're now clear as well. Things are looking pretty good. But I do want to check in down into North Carolina where we have Layla Cox, and we'll see if she's available and ready to talk to us. She is. Good to have you out there, Layla. We're coming to you just a few seconds early here, but want to find out. I know you went down there. Obviously, the streets look pretty good behind you, but you had a chance to talk with Elizabeth City Pasquotank Public Schools about their decision to delay. Maybe we could talk a little bit about that and kind of the overall attitude down there. They've had some pretty crazy weather with the snow and the cold and the wind, even in eastern North Carolina.
Yeah, that's right. Good morning, Craig. For the third day in a row, Elizabeth City, Pasquotank County Public Schools have issued a 3-hour delay. And I know many parents and guardians are wondering why? And I asked that question to Superintendent Keith Parker yesterday with ECPPS. It says it's really a precautionary method that he likes to take, especially as the one making that final decision. And there are 3 factors that he says really play a role into why these decisions are being made. Of course, first, monitoring the National Weather Service and the information that he receives from them, but also working with local emergency management and transportation departments to really monitor those roadways. And he shared with me yesterday that he's really hands-on with these type of decisions, and actually he has a certified bus driver's license, and he's driven in on buses before. He's driven them before, and he likes to really see the road conditions for himself. So although that winter weather advisory was stopped around 4 o'clock this morning, he told me yesterday, he really likes to keep in mind those bus drivers that get up around 4:30 in the morning to get to the bus stations around 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning, and thinking about the possibility of those slicky, icy spots that could have really well played into effect this morning. He really wanted, those bus drivers to be as safe as possible this morning. In addition, he's considering our young drivers as well. He says there are several 16-year-olds that, just got their permits or just got their driver's license. And, he factors those into play as well, knowing that with the possibility of any slick ice or frigid cold temperatures or even low visibility levels as well could be at risk. And he just wants to make sure folks are as safe as possible getting to and from school. And he also mentioned the fact that, if he can make a call for a delay, he'd rather make that call first than issue a cancellation, which is why we've seen for the past 3 days, 3-hour delays. He says he would rather have the sun come up, melt up anything possible that could have, gained some traction with these bitter cold temperatures we've been experiencing for the past week. And even just with the aftermath of last weekend's storm, he's really just keeping that in mind for all families and folks.
Sounds like just an abundance of caution there, and it does make sense. Right now, it's 33 degrees down in Elizabeth City. I wanted to get your thoughts before I let you go here, Layla. You were down there with the last winter storm, and you saw some of the snow and the freezing spray and everything. I'm sure you've had a chance to talk to folks down there in eastern North Carolina. They've been hit with a little bit of a harsher taste of winter over the last few weeks. And how are folks taking it? Is it all in stride, or has anybody commented, hey, it has been a little cold? Have you gotten any interesting feedback at all?
Yeah, during my time in the Outer Banks, of course, I definitely spoke with a lot of people, and it was definitely mixed reactions from those folks. The main kind of reaction I got from them was it was a unique experience, really having all of that snow and blizzard conditions out there in the Outer Banks, which is, a popular coastal beach attraction. But a few folks were just like, oh, it's nothing. We're going to enjoy our time. I saw a few folks, enjoying some beverages along their walks in the morning, even with all that snow still there. So many of them were enjoying it. Other folks unfortunately lost power, so they had to, resort elsewhere to like a hotel and whatnot. But they took that time to kind of bond with their loved ones because all they really had was each other in that close quarters. But overall, positive vibes from the folks down there in Outer Banks, and even speaking with folks down here in Elizabeth City, things aren't too bad right now, and folks have been taking morning walks, getting coffee, walking their dogs as well, just kind of, enjoying the breeziness we have right now. It's not definitely as cold as it was the past few days, Craig.
All right, Layla, thank you so much for your coverage down there and your hard work over the last couple of weeks. We are going to be watching winds. You said they're not too bad right now, but those winds are going to be picking up during the weekend, and I'll have a lot more on that a bit later in the show. Thanks again, Layla. We appreciate you. As we take a look at the temperatures right now, you will notice low 30s over much of the region. It's not going to warm up much. While it's not crazy windy right now, we've got winds about 10 to 15 miles per hour coming in from the north, and that is going to keep the temperatures down today. So we're watching that. As you can see, again, we've got some cloud cover out here down to the south, but the skies are actually starting to clear as we take a look again across much of the region. So you take a look at what's going on, and I do want to turn our attention to the northern part of the bay. And we've had up on the eastern shore icy conditions. It has been a challenge for some of the folks at the northern part of the bay. And this is one area I really want to focus on, these large chunks of ice that are surrounding Tangier Island and Smith Island, making travel to and from the mainland nearly impossible. Now, the conditions have prevented supply boats from carrying food and medicine from reaching the residents there.
Right now, I mean, there's people who are counting their pills, you know, worried about when the next boat coming in with medicine.
A lot of guys, they can't get to their crab shanties. Some of them have their boats out there and they can't get out.
Yeah, it is tough. A special boat known as icebreakers. Those icebreakers are expected to head to Tangier Island today to help break up some of the ice that is jammed up around the tiny island. We'll continue to keep an update on that and watch for those conditions to improve. But right now, those folks watching their supplies. Now, a little farther to the north as we head up to the eastern shore, back-to-back winter storms caused major coastal erosion in Maryland. Megan Summers has a look at the aftermath from Salisbury.
Well, from the looks of these dune drop-offs, Mother Nature must have been hungry this weekend, and she's still going. Watch that piece of sand fall off there. The park superintendent says a lot of this sand is frozen, and pieces will keep falling off as it thaws. It's a unique phenomenon. It leads to heavy chunks of sand like this. With how unstable that leaves parts of the dunes, the park had to close some entrances off.
It's definitely more of a defined ledge, I'd say, this season than maybe last year or the year before.
It's a 10, 12-foot drop-off, you know, the escarpment there.
The drop-offs caught the attention of a few surfers today. With the ocean still settling down, it was a good day to catch some waves. That's why Billy Weiland was out here. He visits daily and says that spot deals with erosion every year.
We get big south swells, big nor'easters, and it tends to be the sweet spot where the dune system, the dune field will get cut out a lot. There's not a lot of vegetation that's really taken hold of the dune there either, so it doesn't really have a lot to keep it in place.
Billy says some more plants could help that section stay rooted, and for any sections that don't smooth over on their own, he hopes DNR comes in to fix it.
We're only a few months away from the busy season here, so as more people start to come here and use the beach, if it hasn't righted itself by then.
A flaky frozen shoreline in Assateague State Park.
All right, interesting to see that. Well, we're going to bring it back here to Virginia and the Metro Zoo up around Richmond. They've been taking some extra precautions to keep their animals safe during the recent cold and ice storms. Animals that normally spend time outdoors, like giraffes, had to be moved inside. They're being kept warm by massive heaters. Zoo staff also stocked up on backup generators and extra bedding to help fight the freeze. Well, meanwhile, certain species are more than happy to frolic in the frigid temperatures. The wolves, snow leopards, and bison seem to feel right at home in the freeze. It's kind of interesting seeing those giraffes.
We do have warm heated shelters, but these guys don't always know how to choose the best spaces. So when that's the case, we step in and make those decisions for them to keep them happy and healthy.
The zoo is still closed to the public due to icy pathways and hopes to reopen soon. I was mentioning the giraffes right there. You see, it kind of has a little bit of a Noah's Ark vibe to it, doesn't it? When you see that kind of pitched roof and the giraffe walking around inside. Pretty wild to see that, but the animals are doing well, and hopefully they'll get the zoo open soon. All right, we're going to take a quick break. In just 2 minutes, we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about a battle over a shoveled parking space and why good insulation is so important. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. We're taking a look here at the Northeast because some significant amount of snow hanging in across Massachusetts. You can see up into New Hampshire and Maine, back down across portions of Connecticut and Rhode Island. The snow's still pretty heavy, and in Boston, snow and ice still line the streets. Some residents there are taking drastic measures to ensure their shoveled out spaces aren't taken by someone else while they're away. Brandon Truitt reports.
Tensions over snow removal or the lack thereof. Boston police say they arrested a man for stabbing a couple in Dorchester Wednesday morning, alleging a turf war over a cleared out parking spot. The victims had cuts to their hands. We found space savers still very much in use in Dorchester a week after the city said they needed to be removed, and sidewalks that looked like this.
That part's been a little bit of a hassle.
Up the road in Back Bay, it's still a challenge for 85-year-old Gareth Levy to get to her car. She's been making trips to see her husband, who's in the hospital recovering from heart surgery.
A little ways down, the teeniest little pathway, and then a big snowbank for me to get over into the car. So I have to always do a little gymnastics.
You gotta get closer, man. No cars can get by.
It has been tough to get around. Snowbanks in the street causing lane reductions. Some residents describe it as a new status quo.
Let's use Beacon Street as an example here in Back Bay. Snow covers this parking lane down the entire block. These are metered spots, so the city is losing money here. We found other neighborhoods in even worse shape.
I might be a bad example, but this snowbank's taller than me.
Over in South Boston, some intersections look like this. Crosswalks fully inaccessible. The state senator who represents Southie and Dorchester filed a letter with the state pleading for additional resources like snow melting machines.
The public has a right to expect a baseline of safety and an ability to take care of the basics.
The city says it's given out more than 1,600 snow-related violations since last week, but they are responsible for intersections and roads being clear. The city says it continues to target areas of concern.
Wow, what a story from up in Boston. All right, we're going to take a look at the cold weather across the country, and there is another round of really cold air on the way. You see some snow flying across portions of the Great Lakes region and the upper Midwest, Wisconsin, back into Iowa. Some snow showers there back around Chicago this morning as well. We have this wet weather offshore now. There's a few areas with some light precip down across portions of North Carolina, but the big news, there is more cold air on the way. And while we're talking about cold and the cold air coming, I want to talk to you for a moment about insulation. Have you ever wondered why your neighbor's roof is covered in snow while yours is completely bare? Well, the answer might be hiding in your attic. Meteorologist Evan Stewart took a look at the signs of heat loss and how extra padding upstairs can save you from costly winter damage.
Here's a quick winter homeowner tip that's actually weather related, talking about attic insulation. Now, if your attic insulation is lacking, the heat from inside your home escapes upward into the attic, and that warmth heats the roof from underneath. And here's the clue that you can actually see from outside. If it snows and the snow on your roof melts off fast, or you don't see much sticking on the roof at all, that can mean you're losing heat. Now, with proper insulation, the heat stays where it's supposed to be, inside the living space, and your attic stays colder. That helps the snow melt slowly and more evenly. Otherwise, what happens is the snow melts, runs down the roof, and then refreezes near the colder edges and the gutters. That's how you get what's called an ice dam. And those are bad because they can trap water, push it back underneath the shingles, and that leads to leaks, ceiling damage, and even mold. So the bottom line, good insulation helps with comfort, lowers heating bills, but also protects your roof during winter weather.
All right, and as we take a look at New York City, 33, that was the high yesterday. Homeowners in New York have been working to remove ice dams since these back-to-back winter storms have swept through. Check it out. One roofing company in Rochester says their phone has been ringing off the hook for the last 3 weeks. Crews first remove snow from the roof and then melt down the ice dams with calcium chloride or a steamer. In some cases, ice dam removal is covered by insurance companies, but experts recommend focusing on prevention so the problem doesn't keep repeating itself. Wow, what a mess with all that ice. All right, we're going to take a look at another Arctic blast that is going to spill south into the southeast U.S. again, or into the eastern U.S. again. You'll see the temperatures again dropping as this Arctic air plunges southward. Today, we're finding temperatures in the mid to upper 30s across our region here in Hampton Roads. Tomorrow, low 40s, but we're going to eventually find into the weekend colder conditions. You see that Arctic air again. Very cold, single digits around Canton and Buffalo up into Montreal. That cold Canadian and Arctic air spilling down into D.C. and here into Hampton Roads as well, Saturday and into Sunday. And that's just part of the problem. We are also going to see the winds increasing. So I'll have more on the weekend in just a moment. Want to show you the next 10 days, temperatures. Normally this time of year up to 52 for Norfolk. We're going to stay below that today. I think tomorrow we're going to be in the we'll say low 40s for the most part, still about 10 degrees below average, but at least warmer than what we're getting today. The problem, that next push of Arctic air lowering temperatures Saturday and Sunday, it's going to be windy as well. 35 on Monday, and then temperatures warming closer to average by next Wednesday. If we don't get to 52, we've got temperatures back into the 40s through the following weekend, and that is setting up a 23 or 24-day run of temperatures below average. So you're talking 3 to almost 4 weeks of below average temperatures. That's why our heating costs are going up so much, and it's costing a lot just to stay warm through the winter. Looking at precipitation, we're going to also take a look at the new U.S. drought monitor. We'll focus on Hampton Roads coming up. We do have wetter than normal conditions expected 8 to 14 days out for the West Coast and back across parts of the Ohio River Valley and the Tennessee River Valley. Think here in Hampton Roads we'll see near normal, maybe slightly above. We could actually use some rain here as we are definitely dry with moderate drought currently across the region. Now, as we take a look at the temperatures, though, we are expecting an upturn. And while I just showed you temperatures are going to be in the 40s as we get into like around the 13th and 14th, that's below average. Beyond that, our temperatures should get back up above average, creating a total average for that 8 to 14 day period that comes out certainly above normal in the central U.S., and we should be a little bit above normal as well. So again, there is some hope down the road. For a long time when I would show this 8 to 14 day outlook, we were seeing blue shaded in here. Remember that? If you were watching a couple weeks ago, we were talking about how cold it is. Well, that cold weather is what we've been dealing with. Now we're getting to look forward to some warmer than average temperatures. For today, we started off with the clouds. We're seeing more sunshine already breaking through, and as we get into the evening, it'll be partly cloudy, staying chilly today. I do want to talk to you about the weekend, and I mentioned it was going to be windy and cold. Temperatures low 30s Saturday and Sunday, and we may lower these temperatures a bit depending on how strong that Arctic air mass is as far as coming in. It may be even a little bit cooler than that. The winds are going to be the big concern, though, for Saturday as we've got the cold air in place. Notice these winds ticking up here into the 50 to 55 or even 60 mile per hour range. Potentially, this is with the European model just projecting wind gusts, and this is up a little bit. I believe that's at about 10 meters. At the surface, it won't be quite that windy, but I do expect winds to eventually be maybe in that 40 to 45 or even 50 mile per hour range. You can see those gusty winds continuing through Saturday. You combine that with the very cold air, and we're talking single-digit wind chills on Saturday for much of the day. It is going to be bitterly cold here in Hampton Roads. Sunday, the winds will be a little bit lighter, but still breezy and still quite chilly across the region. All right, let's take a look at the satellite images. You can see we are dry right now. Some clouds down to the south, more sunshine to the north. And as we pick up the futurecast, the clouds that are out there down to the south, they will continue to thin out. I do expect a decent amount of sunshine later this afternoon, at least for a while. Partly cloudy tonight, and then tomorrow we'll see clouds starting to increase and a chance for some flurries late in the day and really tomorrow evening. You notice this light precipitation showing up out to the west. This is at 4 o'clock on Friday. Places like Richmond, Wakefield, maybe Emporia seeing a little bit of flurry activity or maybe even a few light snow showers. At this point, little to no accumulation is expected with any of this coming through, but a better chance that we actually see those flurries tomorrow evening. That'll move out pretty quickly, and then that cold air moves in, and we're going to see clearing on Saturday. But man, is it going to be chilly. Again, gusty winds, temperatures bitterly cold Saturday, and then again on Sunday, another really chilly day coming up. Now, here's the updated drought monitor, and this came in just before the start of the show. Tomorrow, I'll show the whole country, so if you are tuning in from another part of the country and you're wondering, we'll get to those other areas tomorrow. But I did want to mention for Hampton Roads how we are all in moderate drought across our viewing area. Once you get up to Richmond, they are abnormal dry, but not really in drought between Richmond and Petersburg and just out to the west. You'll notice this area here in severe drought. That does include Emporia, Roanoke Rapids, all the way through western Hertford County and the southwest part of Southampton. So these areas out to the west, very dry. We're getting there as far as the dry conditions go in Hampton Roads. Now we are in moderate drought. And the change from last week, there was like an area this big that was just shaded in yellow for abnormal dry. More of that is now in moderate drought. So we are drier than we were last week, and we'll look ahead with not real good chances for anything significant as far as precip goes anytime soon. Just some passing flurries tomorrow, which really shouldn't amount to much. All right, as we take a look at the forecast, again, those temperatures right now in the lower 30s, and it doesn't warm up much at all. You see the sky right now, partly sunny to mostly sunny as you look farther to the north, but we do still have some clouds as we check in with the Thompson Creek Window Company, and you see the train rolling there across the bridge, crossing the Elizabeth River. There's Norfolk. 33 at the airport, partly cloudy, north winds 14 miles per hour. We do have small craft advisories up for the bay and for the ocean. We will see it getting windier later tonight and into tomorrow. We'll continue to see those small craft advisories up with gale warnings expected as we get closer to the weekend, and those winds really pick up Saturday. Conditions are going to get a lot worse into the weekend. For today, temperatures topping out mid to upper 30s. That's across the south side. Virginia Beach around 36 at Town Center. I expect the airport around 35 or so. We'll see upper 30s. Franklin, Suffolk, back over to Chesapeake. Up on the peninsula, Newport News 37, 36 at Hampton, 38 in Williamsburg. A little bit warmer up there at William and Mary. You can see Gloucester at 37 and mid-30s over to the eastern shore. Looking down to the south, temperatures there with a little more cloud cover, upper 30s at the Outer Banks and around Elizabeth City. I do think we'll see a little bit of sunshine trying to peek through, but the clouds definitely hanging in a bit longer across the northeast part of North Carolina. Overnight tonight, the lows are going to drop down to about 25 with partly cloudy skies. And then tomorrow, 41, flurries possible late. We'll see increasing clouds. I do expect a period with some very light snow showers or flurries coming through. At this point, it doesn't look like any significant accumulation, but we'll keep an eye to things, and we'll let you know if anything changes. Behind that, much colder air settling in for the weekend, and those windy conditions, especially Saturday, still breezy on Sunday. Single-digit wind chills at times, very, very cold and blustery. Monday, we recover back up to 40, 46 on Tuesday, and 49 on Wednesday. We may push those temperatures up a little bit more. It would be nice to get closer to average. I think everybody's over the cold weather, but we still have to deal with it through the weekend. All right, if you want to stay in touch with the forecast, the best way to do that is by downloading the 13 News Now mobile app. You can scan that QR code. You'll have access to forecast information, to not only the weather, but also traffic and breaking news. We keep you updated with all of that. I want to take a moment to thank you all for sticking with us and checking out the Weather Desk. We do it each and every weekday morning, starting at 9 when we have big local weather impacts. We sometimes go a little bit longer, but typically a half an hour. So let your friends know to find us here on the Weather Desk.